What's up, everyone? Ben Grove here with another top cards list. We're going to be taking a look at my picks for some cards that create fun combinations in Cube. As always, make sure to check out cubecoga.net for great Cube resources, Discord links, and Cube building inspiration. The first 4 combos that are on this list are from 2 cubes that I've built that you can find there. Now, what am I referring to when I talk about a combo in Pokemon Cube? So here I have 2 examples of consistency engine combos. They're not included in the list, mostly just because these 2 are like really famous. Delcatty Magneton is the premier engine of the 2004 format, and Skwovet plus Bibarel saw some recent play in Standard. Delcatty and Bibarel are great draw support mons on their own, but when you pair them with their partners, it takes it to new heights. When you discard an energy for energy draw with Delcatty, and then you get 2 energy back with Magneton, or Skwovet just enabling your Bibarel to basically draw you 5 cards instead of just up to 5. These are just like the little unique synergies. Those are the things that I'm looking for, because they're interesting for drafters to discover when they're passing the packs around the table and they find neat little synergies. I really love those moments. Most of the card examples we'll see here are 2 card synergies, but a few others are larger packages. And these examples are not necessarily always a deck on their own, but they're just little interactions that make decks better. All right, the first one on this list definitely embodies the goofiness I like in Cube. It's really fun to see new players crack a pack and see this card in there and just like go through and think about, oh wait, this and this and this and all of these things all have this. So Normalium Z allows a Pokemon that has the tackle attack to use this GX attack, which in Cube, it's essentially a one-hit KO, because single prizers usually have less than 200 HP, and the bulk of cubes are single prize cubes. The really awesome thing about Normalium Z is that there's a really low opportunity cost for putting it in your cube. It's just 1 card, just 1 slot out of like over 400 cards, and usually your Pokemon lines do the rest. You can see here like all the examples of really common cube lines that have a tackle mon available as a basic. And if you want more of an incentive for drafters to build with this card in mind, this promo Tapu Bulu can be a devastating attacker after your Bidoof or your Mudkip has just completely obliterated something. And the Calm Strike attack doing 3 for 120, which is a really great rate. When we think about special conditions being an archetype to build around in Pokemon, it usually falls into one of 2 categories. There's the do damage times the number of special conditions route. Think like Leafeon Undaunted or Salazzle from Battle Styles. Another one is Poison, and there's plenty of ways to make Poison do buff damage, like Burbank City Gym or something like that. Confusion, though, there are a handful of like really cool niche confusion cards that never saw any constructed play, but Cube is a great spot for them. My favorite combo here is Tapu Lele with a Fairy Charm, and the Charm ability on Tapu Lele. Whenever you attach a Pokemon tool that has Fairy Charm in its name from your hand to this Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon confused. Fairy Charms aren't that great on their own in Cube. They protect from specific GX and EX Pokemon, but they don't usually. They're more of like a matchup specific thing, which isn't necessarily what you want in a Cube deck. But this kind of thing could be really cool when it's just basically a confusion button. And if you pair Charm with Pokemon like Masquerain from Plasma Blast that lets you put a tool card back into your hand every turn, you have a repeatable confusion button. I like to go further with that archetype with cards like Parsec from Team Up, which uses Panic Spores to essentially add toxic poison type damage to confusion. And really what this ends up being is kind of an archetype where your opponent has to burn through resources each turn to solve the problem. And I think that it presents some really good gameplay pattern. Number 3 on the list is a simple way to take extra prizes. With Jirachi Prism's Wish Upon a Star ability, if you draw it as a prize and you have a free bench slot, you get an extra prize. You might remember this from combozation decks in the early Sword and Shield era. Those decks use Primate Wisdom, Orin Guru, and the Mr. Mime from Detective Pikachu to put a Jirachi into play, or into the prizes. But there's other ways to do it that are kind of creative. Rotom from Undaunted and Academy at Night basically ends up having the same effect as Mime plus Guru. But the most efficient way to do it is Azel from Legends Awaken. It is limited by the fact that Azelf is a highly valued cube card based on its ability to search the prize cards. But I like putting this combo in my cubes because I think it's a great drafting evaluation decision to make. Do I try and put all my combo pieces together and maybe forego drafting a few cards that will make my deck consistent? And how do I build my deck in order to try and pull this combo off consistently? I think that's a great challenge for drafters. So that's why I love including this in cubes. Number 4 on my list shows off one of my favorite aspects of Cube: cards from different eras interacting with each other in ways that they never could have in Standard. Lucario from Call of Legends has a really cool attack, Dimension Sphere, which is 30 plus 20 for each Pokemon in your Lost Zone. This wasn't a strong attack back in the day, as there wasn't really a way you could put more than one Pokemon in the Lost Zone per turn. However, with cards from Lost Thunder and Lost Origin, this combo has some real legs to stand on. I played a deck built around this in one of my cubes, and I pulled off one of my favorite turns I've ever done of all time. I popped Banette's Puppet Offering to use a Raihan and search for Lost Vacuum. Used Lost Vacuum, pitching a Pokemon from my hand to get rid of my own unknown Q that I had attached as a tool. So I went from the Dimension Sphere attack basically doing nothing to doing 110 for 2 colorless, and it was an incredibly rewarding swing that won me the game. Okay, I admit this one is probably the least likely to actually work for many reasons, but the concept is so funny that I have to mention it. Cubone's Lonely Bone Pokebody reduces damage done to it by 20 for each Marowak in the discard pile. If you drafted a full playset of Marowaks, that's 80 damage reduction. Throw in a Rock Chest Plate, maybe a Stone Fighting Energy, and you're easily tanking hits over 100 damage. Now, obviously there are ways around this. Shred attacks, turning off the Pokebody, and status will make this Cubone crumple. It only has 40 HP. Ironically, also, status is probably the best partner for Cubone, since its attack is worthless, basically. If you drafted a few Hypnotoxic Lasers, or maybe like a Weeping Bell from Battle Styles, you can actually put some pressure on your opponent with this Cubone in the active. Now, is this the most realistic deck in the world? No. Would it be cool to Battle Compressor away 3 Marowak from the deck, then play Guzman Hala, discarding another Marowak, get Stone Finding Energy, Rock Chest Plate, and Lake Acuity, putting damage reduction at 150? Absolutely, and so that's why it's on this list. All right, this is a fun combo based around a card I discovered in a progression series I played. Neo Revelation Raikou. It's the first of 2 Neo Revelation cards on this set, and its Lightning Burst Pokemon power repels the opponent's active when you attach a Lightning Energy to it. If you pair it with Spikemuth from Darkness Ablaze, it pings 2 damage and repels all in one, and that's kind of just like a disruptive and damaging combo. Ideally, you'd play it in a deck with an effect like Rain Dance or Energy Connect, so you could either put multiple 2 damage pings all around the board, or you could guarantee your turn attacks goes to the right Mon, because the Raikou is not a great attacker. 3 for 50, I mean, it's fine, but it's not good. But you attach the energy to Raikou, and then you move it up to the active Pokemon. So you basically still just get an extra 2 damage on the board and some disruption. I think this could be a really cool combo. I haven't seen it out there yet. Okay, number 7 on this list is actually not a combo, but it's just a group of cards that I wanted to highlight. I haven't seen it included in a cube, but I think there's enough utility baked into cube where it would be able to enableize this archetype. Way back in 2009, when the Arceus set in the Platinum block was released, there was an Arceus for every type, as well as 3 different colorless level X Arceuses. They were templated to break the 4 of rule, so you could splash as many different types of Arceuses in your deck. And they printed some really great support cards for it. Ultimate Zone, which allows you to move energy around the board up to your active Arceus as often as you want. And Beginning Door is just search your deck for Arceus, which is, it's just a funny sentence on a card, but really great support. But there wasn't really there weren't good energy back in the day to enable this, I don't think. They're like the best special energy when these cards were legal was just like rainbow energy. But in Cube, where you could have cards like Counter Energy or the Holon Mons, you could really take advantage of the multi-type nature of this and take advantage of the level X here that I have included with the Psychic Bolt attack that does 100 damage for 3. But you have to discard a Lightning and a Psychic attached to Arceus. Another thing that you can think of in Cube that is really common are the Electric and Malamar that have abilities that accelerate a Lightning and a Psychic from the discard pile. So there's really common Cube cards that I think could make an Arceus deck really work. I haven't seen it yet, but just doing 3 for 100 on essentially a 120 HP stage 1, I think that's really strong, and I would love to see a Cube with this Arceus package in it. I think it would have some strong value, and I would love to draft it. All right, Energy Converter Porygon 2 from Neo Revelation is a card that on the face of it doesn't do much, but it's a perfect Cube card. Oftentimes cubes will have you splashing multiple energy types based on either synergy between mons of different types or frankly just scarcity in the draft. You might have to just like piece together a deck with multiple types. Its Energy Converter Pokemon power turns 1 basic energy attached to one of your Pokemon into a basic energy of whatever type you want. This can help smooth out your energy types, or it can be a combo enabler. There are multiple Pokemon that I have here that do extra effects based on what types of basic energy that are attached to them. Mewstar spreads 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon that's the same type as one of the energy attached to it. Ninetales does 3 for 90 if it has an energy that's the same type as your opponent's active. Garchomp does bonus damage to your opponent's active if it's weak to an energy type that's attached to Garchomp, and Kecleon changes its type to each type of energy that's attached to it. I love that with this Porygon card, there's just like different levels of power that are out there that can connect with it. You can do 3 for 90, you can do 3 for 110, and there's 3 for 180. So really there's whatever level of power that fits in your cube. This Porygon 2 is a great option. Pokemon doesn't have a reputation in the TCG space as being complicated, and that reputation is pretty deserved. It's wild sometimes how much restraint the card designers have showed since basically the EX era. When templating card abilities, they always make sure that there's no repeatable or abusable gameplay loops or complicated layers to things. And when making this video, there was some research I was doing, and a couple times I thought I had found some really like extra broken combos. But then I read the cards with some scrutiny, and I realized I was like, oh yeah, the designers did it right, and they prevented this dumb degenerate loop or combo or whatever. So therefore, my most rules exploitative combo isn't that rules exploiting at all, but I think it's still a fun exploration of gameplay mechanics, another thing I love about cube building. Goodra from Forbidden Light has the Hydration ability, which heals it for a modest 20 damage when a water energy is attached. However, when you heal Goodra, you buff its Soaking Horn damage by 80. Usually this is pretty easy to play around by your opponents. If they never hit into the Goodra before they're ready to like fully deal with it, how are you going to activate Soaking Horn? But in Pokemon, one cool rules application is that when you have simultaneous triggers, you choose the order in which they're going to happen. So in this combo, we can choose to take the damage from Rainbow Energy, Frozen City, or Old Cemetery first, so that we can heal it off in the same instant and trigger Soaking Horn. Cards like these and a strong deck building that accesses them really well can make this Goodra a really surprisingly feared card for your playgroup. All right, finally, number 10 here is Vileplume from 151. Now, it doesn't have the most unique ability. It's not even the strongest iteration of this ability, the fully blooming energy. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may look at the top 8 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic energy cards you find there to any of your Pokemon in any way you like. That's an awesome ability. But Togekiss from Great Encounters looks at the top 10 cards and attaches any basic energy as opposed to Vileplume's 8. What I do like about this Vileplume, though, is that the Gloom printed in the same set has a mini version of the same ability, looking at the top 3. I love cards like these because the ability is not strong enough of an acceleration to be used in constructed play. It doesn't compete well with like Dynamotor effects or Rain Dance effects. However, Cube, there's really just like a critical mass of enablers for cards like these. Mantine Delta, Delcatty, and Dialga from Platinum each put either 1, 2, or 3 energy respectively from the discard to the top of the deck. And there's also then 3 different supporters out there that are basically the same supporter with different names: Mallow, Oracle, and Cyphermaniac's Codebreaking. They each stack the deck with 2 cards of your choosing on top. There's a lot of enabling for these abilities out there, and it's a cool, unique acceleration avenue that a lot of players, if they just play standard, they don't usually interact with something like this. So it gets your players to play cards in a different way that they've really never played before. All right, that's my list. It's not a top 10 and it's by no means exhaustive, but it's just a good number of interactions that I want to see more of in cubes, because I think they're really cool. As a cube builder, it's really fulfilling to watch my players piece together interactions between cards from different eras as they draft and build their decks. What combos do you like? Make sure to comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.